Welcome to the Crochet Business School podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Thomas, and I'm going to help you to make your crochet business dreams a reality, stitch by stitch, without you being chained to your hook and being able to live that lifestyle you've been dreaming of using the power of your crochet. This episode has come about because of a question that was asked in our Facebook community. And the person in question wanted some tips because they were overwhelmed by everything they needed to do. And that's not surprising. So when you're starting out, or you're switching from the idea of making a bit of extra cash, maybe crochet has been your side hustle, and switching to, I want to make a proper business out of this. When you're at that stage, there's so much going on. It is not surprising you're overwhelmed. There's lots to set up. There's lots to learn. There's lots to do. And it feels like the more you learn, the more you discover about how to run a business, the more you are discovering that you need to do, that you need to set up, different ideas to explore, discovering what's going to work for your business, what isn't. It's a lot. It's a huge amount. And yes, it is completely and totally overwhelming. But that is also completely and totally normal. You can crochet fantastically, but it doesn't mean you know anything about business. So you are learning all this from scratch. Even if you have worked retail or worked in a business environment as part of your career in the past, you probably only worked in one department. If you worked in the IT department, great, you've got IT and tech side covered. But that doesn't mean you know anything about sales, about marketing, about finance. It doesn't mean you know anything about all the other sides. Retail, it gives you a fantastic grounding in customer service. Doesn't mean you know how to create marketing materials or how to decide what promotions to run, how often to run sales, what niche to choose. Your background probably only gives you a tiny piece of the puzzle. You have to be able to do all of it. So you are learning from scratch. You're learning all these new things. And as wonderful as the internet is, it also provides you with so much information that it feels like a library has just popped you on the head. All of this stuff to learn, overwhelm, is perfectly normal. And it's also frustrating. Knowing about all the things you need to do, the things you need to set up, the different pieces of a business, is frustrating while you learn it. You can go into all of the different business groups, marketing groups, crochet groups that you like on Facebook or search hashtags on Instagram, put searches into Google, but sometimes all that information just makes you more overwhelmed. And this overwhelm can turn into paralysis. It can turn into procrastination and stops you from doing anything at all. And this is the real danger of overwhelm, is that it stops you from doing anything. Sometimes we need to just stop, pause, and take a breather, which feels like something that you haven't got time to do. But it's important to remember that you are starting off as a crocheter, not a business person. Sometimes you've got to stop and breathe. It doesn't matter if you don't think you have time, make time. Because if you're overwhelmed and stuck, trying to keep yourself busy but not actually achieving anything is not going to get you anywhere. put everything away for a day or two and just go and chill. Even if that means you just catch up on all the housework or take the kids out for a walk or go for ice cream, go run yourself a nice hot bath and just soak and just chill. Whatever that looks like for you, go do it, because that will start to give you some headspace. And once you get some headspace, you can start to move again. There are ways that you can combat overwhelm, make it easier to deal with. All of these things that you feel you need to do, they're not going to go away. But you can find ways to almost reorder things, get things out of your head, and take it piece by piece. If you try to do everything all in one go, you're going to get nowhere. You're going to have to pick and choose your tasks. Plan the time that you have to spend on your business between time to learn things, time to do things, time to crochet. And often when we're setting things up for our business, we find we're doing all the admin tasks, which take up so much time but leaves us no time to crochet. So when you're in that place, you also have to make time for your crochet, because that's why you wanted to do this business in the first place. You chose to have a crochet business because it gives you time to crochet. So sometimes you have to schedule that in. And a lot of times that's where I find myself. I have to schedule my crochet time. There are some days where there's so many things to do at my computer that I have to remind myself, right, it's time to stop. Let's go spend an hour to crochet. And that's just the way it is sometimes. Not all the time. This night is not a typical day for me, but sometimes that is the case. Scheduling in your time can help you start to build a plan. It can help you start to become more organized. And organization is definitely one of the ways you can combat your overwhelm. If you think of it like a 9-to-5 job, you have no choice but to do the jobs that your manager assigns to you. Well, you can become your own manager. Plan it out and stick to the schedule. By sticking to the schedule, you are saying that I have no choice but to do this, I must do it. No excuses. The best part about having your own business is that you get to decide what you do and when. The downside to having your own business is that you get to decide what you do and when, because it's so easy to make excuses to not do the work. Or decide that I don't really like doing that thing, I'm going to leave it for another day. The next step in creating your profitable crochet business is awaiting you. I have the tools and tips you need to get paid for the craft you love without tucking all of your time away inside the Hooked on Success podcast membership. There are membership tiers to suit everyone's budget and support needs. To find out more, click on the link beneath this podcast or go to crochetbusinessschool.com/success to discover how you can get in today. But what happens is that thing doesn't get finished, and so you can't make any money out of it. And that adds to the overwhelm, because this thing that you've got on your plate, on your list to do, is not going anywhere. Sometimes overwhelm can come from just not wanting to finish tasks that we've started. Sometimes it's because you really, really, really don't like doing that thing and you're putting it off. But because it's filling your brain, it's overwhelming you, and so you're getting nothing done in general. So there's a lot of things that can cause the overwhelm. One of the things that is a great idea to do, if you just need some headspace to moon, is to get a piece of paper and a pen. Actually, physically writing this out helps. At least it does for me. You could do it on a computer if you prefer. But just dump everything that you've got on your mind that you need to do. Write it down. It doesn't matter how small or how big. Just do a big brain dump and write it all down. Spend 10 minutes doing that. Suddenly, everything that is in your head that you keep telling yourself, I need to remember to do this. I must do this. This needs doing. What if I forget? Dump it all on that piece of paper. Dump it in that Word file. And suddenly you can see everything that you need to do. Sometimes doing that big brain dump is enough. It's enough to get you moving, and you can pick tasks off that page and go do them, so you can cross them off. And then they're no longer taking up headspace. Sometimes just having all those things that you're telling yourself that you need to remember, having them written down so you can actually see them, they're there, you're not going to forget because you can see them. Sometimes that's enough to give you the headspace to get moving again. What if it's not? Well, then it's time to turn all these things that you just brain dumped into a priority list. But then, of course, you get overwhelmed by trying to decide what's more important than the other. So instead of that, pick one. Look at that page and say, which one is the most important thing that I get done right now? Pick it, do it. Okay, cross it off. What's the next important thing? Pick that, go do that. One thing at a time, step by step, one foot in front of the other. Pick one, do it. Come back to the page. Pick the next thing, go do it. If you're trying to focus on everything all at once, you'll find that you'll get nothing done. Being able to see a list of tasks that you can pick from and then concentrating on that single thing, that can help you get moving. That can help the overwhelm. Sometimes you just need a quick win to get you started. So pick a quick, easy task off the list. Do it just to get yourself moving and then tackle the big thing later. If I'm having a really bad day getting my energy going, that's what I do. Sometimes you just need a quick win. A quick task that will get you moving and get you more motivated to get to the big thing that you need to do. Even just doing this, it takes time to get used to working this way. Working for yourself is a big step from working for somebody else where your time is all managed. There are huge benefits to working for yourself. You have more freedom. You set your own hours. You get to choose what you do. You get to do something you love. The downside to that is that you are responsible for you. If you don't get the work done, there's no paycheck at the end of the month. And so it's important that you start to find ways to be able to motivate yourself and get past this overwhelm. And it's just a case of finding which of these tricks are going to work for you. But when you are first starting out in your crochet business or, getting it ready to turn into a proper crochet business, this is where the biggest learning curve is. This is where you have the most to do to get everything set up, to get your social media set up, to get that shop set up, to choose a product line, to choose a niche, to set up an email list, build that email list. What content do you post on your social media? Should you have a blog? Should you have a YouTube channel? Should you go on TikTok? Should you be on Instagram? There's a lot, and it is completely and totally overwhelming. You are not alone. Every crochet business owner goes through this. And it's not just crochet. Every small business owner who is starting their own business will go through this. But getting through this first stage, it will get easier. This first phase, finding out what works for you, getting all those things set up, that is the busiest, most overwhelming phase of having your own business. If you get through this, it starts getting easier. But if you have gone through that phase and you're still overwhelmed, that usually means you're trying to take on too much and there's way too much on your plate. And it's actually time to get pruning. If you have multiple social media channels, a blog, a shop, a YouTube channel, TikTok, you're trying to make video content, written content, graphics for social media posts, pins for Pinterest, if you were trying to do all that on your own, that is impossible. It's no wonder you're overwhelmed. You have to prune. You have to accept there's only so many hours in the day. You have to accept that there's only so much that you on your own can do. You are left with the choice of cutting some things out and stop doing them, or hire someone to help you, like a virtual assistant. If you don't have the money for the virtual assistant, you've got to start cutting things out. Overwhelm can happen for so many reasons. But sometimes it's just simple tricks of picking one task and get moving, dumping all the ideas and thoughts in your mind onto a piece of paper. These little things can help beat that overwhelm. It's just finding out what trick is best for you. But I promise you, you are not the only one going through this.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Crochet Business School podcast. Stay tuned for more episodes and please subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Crochet Business School. Subscribe to the channels because I would love to hear from you and what you're up to in your own crochet business. If you have any questions about creating and growing your own crochet business, please send them my way and I'll answer them in future episodes. So thank you for joining me and I shall see you in the next episode. Bye for now.